Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I'm just finishing off my little mini marathon for season 2 of Quantum Leap. I was watching episodes 4 to 7, and I'm just up to 7 now. A Kind of Magic. Basically, Ben gets, he leaps back to 1692 to a town in Massachusetts where they're just starting to burn witches. He is accused of being a witch. His friend is accused of being a witch, and he gets dragged into it with her. It's funny when you first see him dressed in the dress and the bonnet and everything. I'm like, oh no, is he going to wear the bonnet all through the episode? But then, right at the start of the episode, when he has to walk quickly after the other girl who's walked off, his bonnet blows off and he doesn't notice and doesn't pick it up and he doesn't wear it again. So they got rid of that issue. I know a guy who looks like him who was called Bonnet, but that's a whole other story. Okay, so the team on the outside they're having troubles because obviously going that far back in history they don't have the kind of information that they had before, and they use books, they use literal witchcraft where Ian tries to talk to his mother who was once burned at the stake as a witch back in the day, or at least accused of being a witch. And just they actually do sort of work out what happened, and it's a little bit harder to believe than your usual episodes. But I mean, it's good. It's interesting to see how that sort of scenario sort of would play out in a town, and the way the girls all accuse her of being a witch, and they jump on, and there's a preacher, mayor guy who sort of runs the town. His son was sick, and he collapses in the courthouse, and Ben resuscitates him, and that freaks him out even more because that just looks like witchcraft to them because he just brought someone back to life. And when he's asked to speak on their behalf, he doesn't. He says what his dad wants him to say, that they're witches. And then they end up being tossed in a dungeon, basically, in a jail. And they manage to get out. Ben steals the keys from one of the guards by angering him without meaning to. And then when he's grabbing him, he grabs the keys. They sneak out. They think that they can use... Because another woman got thrown in with them because she defended them and said they're not witches. These girls are as much a witch as I. So she gets thrown in with them. So now there's 3. And they are planning to escape the town, and that should be enough to fix everything. And she's got all her supplies because of the store, but then it's been ransacked and there's only one horse. So she ends up leaving them on their own and running off on the horse. So they end up, fortunately, being saved by the son of the guy who runs the town. He was grateful for her life being his life being saved, so he basically finds them a way out on an apple cart that's being driven out by a horse, and they escape that way. But at the last minute, Ben stops because they hear that the shop owner has been caught, and he convinces Goody, the girl who's been accused of being a witch in the first place, to go back and help, because as much as she resents the town for returning on her and everything, she won't be able to live with herself if she just lets the other woman die. So they go back in and they basically argue that this is wrong and to let God decide, because somehow, based on some sort of farmer's almanac or some history, they know that the drought ends that day and it rains. So he plays on God's will and basically is like, I'm just going to walk in there and say, basically let it be up to God, and then it'll rain and put out the fire and show there's no drought. And because basically there was a drought and the people were sick and they were blaming that all on the witches because they needed something to blame. And of course he says, let there be rain, let God decide, let there be rain, and then it doesn't happen. He says it about 3 times and they're like, you daft girl, we're in a drought. And they argue, and then it just starts to rain, and it's like, oh, thank God. And the other thing they realise is the reason why the people are getting sick is there was sulphur, some sort of leak or some contamination of the water, and that's why they were getting sick. And the drought sort of ended that part of it, and they actually used the burnt wood from the stake they were about to be burned on to clean or filter the water. So they sort of all live happily ever after. The girls don't get burned. And there's a kind of funny scene. There's a bit too much, but it's still kind of fun, where when the mayor, he says, what does this mean when it's raining? And she says, that you're wrong. And then the 3 girls just are like, the mayor, he let us down, he misled us, he must be burned at the stake. And then Ben's like, no more burning people at the stake. You have to like stop doing this. You have to start thinking for yourselves and decide what sort of town you want to be. And he gives a little speech, and basically, like I said, that they all live happily ever after. And then he tells Addison that, because she actually came, because Jen was doing all the hologramming, but Addison jumped in last minute because she had a theory that would take too long to explain to Jen. And he was happy for her to be there, and he said, look, I thought I'd be better without you, but I realised I'd be better, with you, because if, without you, I'm just this bitter person I don't want to be, so I'm happy for you to be my hologram again. So she's happy with that, and then the next thing you know, he has leapt to Egypt. So I guess I'll have to wait for the next episode. I guess I'll watch it on actual TV, if I can remember, because I keep forgetting, and then I end up with a whole bunch of episodes waiting for me. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the episode or the series, the season. I really wish they'd done a third